The structure of the ear consists of three parts: an outer, middle, and inner ear. The outer ear consists of the pinna and external auditory meters. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If it is your first time coming across my video, kindly subscribe and just like that to become part of this family. In this tutorial, I am going to focus on human ear, and we will try to answer 4 questions. So stay tuned and let's do it. Take a look. When drawing human ear, I recommend you start with the external auditory meters that extends to form tympanic membrane. There you are, and some bit of ear pinna that you finish up later. Then followed by ear ossicles, that is the Murias, Incas, and Stipes, and they are in close proximity to each other. So now we are drawing the Stipes that is in contact with the ovoidal. Oh yes. So now I'm drawing the cochlea, and right now I want to draw the semicircular canals, also known as the vestibular canals. They are cavities that are filled with fluid known as the perilymph and the endolymph. Right now I'm trying to locate the round window that is in cross proximity with the eustachian tube. Look at that. So I'm finishing up with the eustachian tube. It's an air-filled cavity, and now I'm trying to draw the outside part of the cheek. So coming back in, I want to show you the presence of endolymph and perilymph in the cochlea. But remember, also in the semicircular canals, there are also perilymph and endolymph. But for now, we are not going to indicate that, because that of the cochlea is enough for explanation and is enough for you to get the O marks. So now, lastly, coming back to the ear pinna, finishing, trying to indicate the foldings that we normally find on the ear pinna. So now we are done with the drawing. So the next step of acquiring more marks is now labeling. So first of all, I will identify the most important parts. So after identifying those parts, I will come back to answer them. So I usually advise students to at least label 5 and more parts for you to score 10 marks. So for my case, I've identified more than 5 parts because I'm here just to help you understand what is usually done. So I've labeled the pinna. I'm going ahead now to label the auditory meters. I'm now going back to the ear ossicles, beginning with the Murias. Be very careful with the spelling. Sometimes it can be a real bother. So we have the Incas and the Stipes. There we are. Pretty good. Now we are going to label the eustachian tube. Nice job. Nice one. So we also label the cochlea. Nice job. The semicircular canals, also the vestibular canals. or vestibular apparatus. Having done that, we label now the auditory nerve. These take the impulses to the brain for interpretation into various sounds, whether speech, whether music. There you are. Thank you. The structure of the ear consists of 3 parts: an outer, middle, and inner ear. The outer ear consists of the pinna and external auditory meters. The pinna. It's a visible part of the ear that is made up of elastic cartilage. It provides protection of the middle ear and also collects and concentrates sound waves into the auditory meters. Some animals are able to rotate their pinna in order to locate the direction of the sound. The auditory meters. It's a canal that channels sound waves to the eardrum, also known as the tympanic membrane. The membrane lining the auditory canal has secretory cells that produce wax and hairs, both of which trap dust and germs, preventing them from reaching or getting to the inner part. It is the auditory meters that extends to form a membranous structure called eardrum or the tympanic membrane. Let's now look at the middle ear. It's an air-filled cavity within the skull and is situated between the outer and the inner ear. It consists of tympanic membrane, ear ossicles, eustachian tube, oval and round windows. The tympanic membrane, or commonly known as eardrum. It is a taut but preamble like the skin of a drum, which enables it to vibrate. When it is hit by sound waves from the outside, it vibrates and transforms sound waves into vibrations to the ear ossicles. Ear ossicles are 3 tiny bony structures that are also part of the middle ear. They include myrias, incus, and stapes. They are also named according to their shape. Myrias is also known as hammer because it takes the shape of a hammer. Incus is also known as anvil because of the shape of the anvil. Stapes is also known as stirrup because it looks like the stirrup that is used during horse riding. These bones are held together by suspensory ligaments and muscles in a chain-like fashion. These muscles prevent excessive vibration, which could damage the inner delicate membranous labyrinth. Their main job, therefore, is to increase the pressure of sound waves before it reaches the inner ear. We know that it's easier to move particles of air, but it's pretty hard to move particles of liquid. You can try this activity. Try to swing your hand in the air and in the water, e.g. in a swimming pool, and you will realize it's easier to swing it in the air than in the water. You will also notice that the tympanic membrane has larger surface area than the stapes. This phenomena aims at increasing the pressure because pressure increases when it is concentrated in a very tiny area. The eustachian tube. Eustachian tube or canal is also part of the middle ear, which connects the middle ear with the pharynx. Its function is to equalize air pressure on both sides of the eardrum. This is very important because the eardrum can rupture if air pressure on either two sides is very different. Eustachian tube is normally closed, but opens during swallowing, chewing, and yawning. This way, it allows air to enter or to leave the middle ear depending on the atmospheric pressure, hence equalizing the pressure on either side of the eardrum. Let's now look at the inner ear. It's a fluid-filled cavities of canals connected to the middle ear by the oral window. The canals and the cavities form a system which comprises of the cochlea and the vestibular apparatus. The cochlea is concerned with the hearing, and the vestibular apparatus are concerned with body balance and posture. Vestibular apparatus consists of semicircular canals, utricle, and the sacrum. Let's start with the cochlea. Cochlea is a spiral tube that resembles a snail's shell. It contains organ of Corti that is lined with tiny hair-like cells which turns vibrations into electrical signals or impulses, which are then passed to the auditory nerve and then carried to the brain for interpretation into either a speech sound, a music sound, a low, a high, or a middle frequency sound. Different air cells respond to different frequencies of sounds. At the base of the cochlea, it detects high sounds. Towards the top of the cochlea, detect lower sounds. At the very top of the cochlea, air cells detect the lowest sound. Let's now look at the vestibular apparatus. Allow me remind you that the vestibular apparatus consists of semicircular canals, utricle, and the sacrum. They are concerned with the body balance and posture. They contain fluid that move in response to the head movement. The lining of these canals have sensory structures that dictate the movement of the head and restore the body balance. They work in conjunction with the eyes and the receptor cells in the joint of the body to maintain balance. Welcome to the hearing process or mechanism of hearing. The pinna collects and concentrates sound waves into the auditory meters. Sound waves strike the eardrum, also the tympanic membrane, and cause it to vibrate. The vibrations are set to the ossicles, which amplify the vibrations. The amplified vibrations are received by the oval window that sends them to the cochlea. In the cochlea, sound waves cause disturbance of the fringe inside the cochlear cavity, which in turn stimulates the sensory cells hairs to generate an impulse in order to form an electrical signals that are transmitted by the auditory nerve to the brain. The brain interprets the impulse as a sound and distinguishes them depending with the type of sound. Bye, and a lot of love from me and the entire family of this channel.